Hey, ¿qué pasa, Calexico? Welcome back to the podcast. Before we begin today, first I want to thank my friends here at Taco Mex, the Martin Arellanos, the both of Martin Jr. and Senior, for allowing me to record here today. Also, today I'm interviewing a candidate for public office, and I just want to make sure that I say this, that this is not an endorsement. It's just a conversation so that the community gets to know the candidate I'm talking to today. And I also want to make put out there that I did reach out to Ms. Marquez. I know I've always said that I don't reach out to candidates, but I think from all the people that are running for Calexico City Council, she was one of the ones that we had people that I hang out, especially Victor Carrillo. I was like, who is she? I don't know who she is. So I thought it was a good way to kind of get to know her, because I also had a couple questions that since we don't know much about her. It was a good way to for the community to get to know her. So today, my guest is Adriana Marquez, who is running for Calexico City Council. Thank you for being here today.
No, thank you for inviting me. I'm very happy and pleased to be here with you.
Before we talk about campaign, politics, tell us a little bit about yourself. I know you're a lifelong Calexican. You grew up here in Calexico all over your life. So tell us a little bit about what you remember about Calexico and kind of up to what you are, your adult life now.
Well, I have been raised in Calexico all my life. I have been living here for 47 years. My parents immigrated from Mexicali to the United States, and I came with them. I have attended schools here in the Valley all my life. I am a Trojan. I'm from Mainz. From there, I went to De Anza Junior High School and then Calexico High School, class of 92. Dating myself there. But then after that, I got married and started a family with my husband. We've been married for now 32 years. We have 5 children and grandkids, and I think Calexico is a perfect place to raise your family. We have a close-knit community. Family is still here. So that's been my adventure in Calexico. Also during, just growing up, I remember a lot of the festivities, a lot of the downtown activities we had. One of the things that I really remember that is really close to my heart is I always wanted to attend a dance school. And obviously you had to go across the border for that. But I remember Parks and Recs put on a really cool ballet class, and we got to perform the Nutcracker. And, just growing up in Calexico has always been like a fun small town thing. And I love that because we all know each other. Playing, my brother used to play t-ball and then Little League. So you get to know a lot of people in the community. And I think that's kind of great having a small town, or growing up in a small town. I've been blessed with that.
Yeah, I grew up here in Calexico too. And that's something that I remember too, that, was, my parents would leave on the weekends to go to Mexicali. I didn't want to go, so I wanted to stay here. And I remember walking everywhere. Going to, I didn't play t-ball. I played basketball, but I didn't play t-ball, or softball or whatever, but baseball. I remember going to, watch my friend play. And it's I think one of the biggest things that I like about Calexico is, the close-knit community. My wife for a long time bugged me about, let's move to Imperial. And we had the chance, but, she knew I wasn't going to leave Calexico. And I totally understand, that sentiment about, that close knit, the family, type of vibe that we have here in Calexico.
And I mean, everybody kind of knows everybody. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing sometimes, but I think for the most part, especially if you're a parent and you have small children, that's something that you kind of treasure that you can't find in a big city. I think also Calexico is very unique because we're right across the border. And I mean, it's like an extension of Mexicali. So a lot of my family is still in Mexicali, like mis tías, mis tíos. They come from Guadalajara. So they, my great-great-grandparents decided to move to Mexicali. And that's where our family based their roots. And then my parents came over to Calexico and now started a new generation of Calexicans here. So it's it's a really cool experience because, I mean, you kind of have this binational reality to your life. I mean, you do things here in Calexico in the U.S. You get to go to San Diego, Los Angeles, but you can also go to Mexicali and then experience all their, still the traditions that we have that we're still keeping there. So I just think we're very fortunate, very lucky to have those two things.
Yeah, especially I think I don't know who I was talking to the other day that they didn't know that Mexicali is the capital of Baja California. And they're like, I thought it was Tijuana. I'm like, no, everybody thinks that because TJ is so well known, like everywhere, like movies, across the world, people know Tijuana. But Mexicali, it's the capital of Baja California. And it's crazy that we live right next to a city with over 1 million people that live there. And like, you see little Calexico, and then you see like this big old metropolis right next to the divided by a fence.
Exactly. I saw that, I think it was the other day on... it was like an aerial shot of how it was just flying from, I guess, the airport of Mexicali's airport, and how it kind of went all over Mexicali, Centro Cívico, and then coming down like the border area, and then finally reaching Calexico, and it's boop, just like it all kind of shrinks. But I love it because then you have that whole greenery around it, all this, agriculture around us. So yeah, it's pretty cool, and I don't know. I think it's kind of like a refuge from the big cities to me. That's what it is. But you still have that opportunity to still, go across the border, experience what they have there, or even travel 2 hours to San Diego and experience that as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's crazy because I need to go to San Diego to go see my dad later today. But my brother, he's 32. And he doesn't drive in San Diego because he's scared of the traffic.
It is crazy. It is. I mean, I'm a teacher. So, you have opportunities to move to other, cities. And, you kind of take it for granted how, you could say, oh, well, maybe if I remember my first job was in Winter Haven. That's a maybe 55-minute drive. And I would say, oh, it's so long, it's a whole hour of my day. But then talking to my cousins who live like in LA or San Diego, they're like, oh, that's how long it takes for me to drive like 10 miles, but just because of traffic. So I stopped complaining about that, and I just now take it like wherever I'm going, it's not as bad as LA or San Diego. I'm not stuck in traffic. I'd rather be driving instead of just sitting there.
But the thing's like, I tell my brother, like, you drive Mexicali people drive, it's like if you're driving I mean, might not be as fast, but, people moving in and out.
Fast pace, yeah.
So it's like, I don't know how you don't drive in San Diego or to San Diego. So now, you got to this point where you decide to run for Calexico City Council.
I know, crazy, huh?
Yeah. Especially from what I've heard so far is that, you like this like chill vibe from Calexico, not the stressful life of a big city, but yet you decide to get into, we were calling it a little circus earlier.
Yes.
So what made you take that leap?
Well, I think most of the people that know me, they all reacted with the same, are you feeling okay? What's wrong with you? Are you crazy? But, I'm an advocate for a lot of different things. And I think that one of the things that I have a calling to do now is to advocate for Calexico. I'm not a politician. I will never be a politician. This is not about a political career for me. It's about how can I help to make my city a better place. To me, it just hit, really hard when I saw things happening in city council meetings. When I also saw the downtown Calexico, when I see our streets or our parks, and I'm like, we are a prosperous city. We were that before. So what's happening? Why is it that we're not able to maintain the city of Calexico anymore the way we used to 20 years ago? I mean, I know that there's always, difficulties. I know that financial reasons, like right now, inflation is really hitting hard. Everyone is feeling it. But I really don't see how we have let go of our city where it is now in the state that it's in right now. I think this is something that it comes from years back, and it probably won't be able to get fixed like right away. But I know that, now that I decided to throw in my hat and pursue this position, I've been talking to a lot of people, and what I still do see in Calexico is that a lot of people still care. I mean, there's a lot of people out there doing things out of the goodness of their heart without looking for any rewards or any acclimate, nothing. They're doing it because they want to have a better city. And I think that's the reason why I chose to move into this position now. Like I said before, I'm a mom, I'm a grandma, I'm a teacher, I'm an advocate. Why now Calexico? Well, because I'm looking at how our downtown area looks. I'm looking at all the difficulties that, as a city, that we're confronting. I mean, we don't have the revenue that we should have. Calexico has very good foot traffic from across the border. And we are a pretty good sized town. So we should be able to maintain our own finance, but we're not. So to me, it has to do more with what is it that we're doing to maintain a good budget within the city? How are we utilizing the money? And where is it going? Because, I mean, where is that money going? As a citizen, sometimes we go and we try talking to our representatives, and sometimes we don't get any answers. So I really want to get to the bottom of those, But at the same time, I think I just really want to see my town be prosperous as it used to be before. I'm not planning on moving anywhere. I'm not planning on going anywhere. So I want to make sure that, I rebuild this place to the way I used to remember it being when I was a little girl, or even better than that. I want to make sure that when I retire and when my kids come, or when my kids grow up and get married, they don't want to move away. They want to set their roots here as well. I guess I'm being a little bit melancholic about the times when I was growing up, and now comparing it to how I see Calexico today. And that really, really lit a fire when I saw the conditions of our streets, our conditions of downtown, all of that. That's really what inspired me to go into this new adventure for me. Yeah,
you mentioned foot traffic, and I think that's something that and I always kind of admire what Gil Rebollar does, because he'll come down to Calexico or to all the downtowns of the valley, and like he'll point out like, oh, check out this new shop, I just got a bunch of clothes here, blah blah blah. But whenever I talk to him, he's like, man, Calexico he has so much potential because of where we're at. We have all this people coming from Mexicali. What can we do to make sure that instead of driving to El Centro or maybe even San Diego, they stay here and buy from us instead of other cities local in the valley, or like I said, in San Diego?
Well, I think the first thing should be cleaning it up, and I think hemos descuidado mucho el centro. We've let it go. I know that a lot of people do complain about the transients, but there's ways of helping them. Being, a humanitarian, you want to make sure that you do that with all interest to the individuals, and making sure that we're reaching out to agencies who are going to be able to help them. When I said I'm an advocate for them as well. I just don't want to push them out and forget about what they require, because they are our citizens as well, and we should be able to help them too. But first of all, I think it would be cleaning up downtown. Making it beautiful like it used to be before. I mean, one of the things I like to talk about too is Centro de Mexicali. Hoy por mi centro. That's a really cool program that they developed, and they rebuilt the whole downtown area in front of Catedral in Mexicali, and now it's a cultural center. Like they closed at, I think around 5, they closed the streets, and they have a lot of artists. They have a lot of little shops that you can go, and so people are really drawn into coming in and visiting those areas. And I mean, we have new shops, you have new restaurants. that's the kind of thing that I would definitely want to go and pick their brains about, how doing that, bringing that into Calexico, and how much it would benefit not only the community because you have somewhere to do. Like, one of the things I don't like people saying, oh, there's nothing to do here. Well, guess what? We could have something to do. We just have to bring it here. And by having that, our own community go into downtown, maybe the merchants can stay open a little bit later, draw in the customers, and making sure that we're utilizing that. And if we're doing that, we're going to attract other people from across the border to come and shop and come and stay and spend the day in Calexico. I know that before. I mean, like I said, I have a lot of aunts and uncles who still live in Mexicali, and one of their things, their Saturdays was vamos a Calexico, vamos a Calexico a comprar. And so they would come over. If they didn't want to be in line for 2 hours, they could just walk over and, shop downtown, and then go visit family, or they could go to a restaurant, have, family time. It's what they used to do before. Yeah. So why not offer that again? Going also not a little bit to our neighbors in Yuma, their downtown used to be really bad, kind of horrible looking. But if you go now, it's vibrant. They redid it, and it is amazing. You can go there any time of the day, and there's something for you to do. I mean, there's several shops, coffee shops that are open. They have bookstores. They have galleries there. And at the nighttime, they also have bar areas and restaurants that are open. And people they cleaned it up and revamped it. People are free to walk around. You don't feel like, scared that anything or anyone's going to come out of the bushes and attack you or anything like it used to be like maybe 10 years ago. But it's really nice. So just looking at other cities and how they've reworked their downtown areas, and their commerce, we don't have to reinvent the wheel, but we can definitely put some hard work into our town to make it what we want it to be, and not let it fall even further apart.
And how do you incentivize like the business owners, or even the property owners to invest in making their buildings, their old buildings, a little bit more modern or beautiful? How do you help them? How do you help them out, or convince them to invest this money when obviously, all these things cost money?
Yeah, funny that you asked that, but fortunately enough, in our state there is a grant that goes to every business owners, and they're able to apply for these grants and have a beautification. Not to be, but a grant come to them, and they can revamp their stores at the outside of them. Unfortunately, because of some of wrongdoings of our city in 2015, a lot of funds were mixed around, not used for the proper destinations, and now we are in a hold off because of that. But the money is there. If we fix our finances, if we fix our home, and we're able to, report back to the state of what happened to certain grants and certain monies, then we should be in the clear. I do believe that the report was 75% finished. However, at this point, I don't know if it actually is, since, changing of a lot of people in city council, a lot of people in city management. So at this point, I don't know if that was even concluded or if it's still in the works. But I do believe in May it was stated that it was 75% completed in order for us to clear with the state and be able to receive those grants again. So once again, why are we not doing what we're supposed to for our city, and who are we holding accountable to making sure that we're moving forward?
How much of that, the lack of follow through do you account for, being understaffed? The city, obviously, we have, our city manager right now is not the city manager is like somebody that's taking the place while we hire somebody else. All departments are kind of like depleted when it comes to staff. How much of that do you account to the not following through on all these
Well, we're talking about 10 years ago when this was happening. So I think that back then it was misuse of funds of the people that were in charge. Now, I don't know if it would be a forensic audit that would actually let us know where the funds went to, or who we could actually, kind of blame. But at this point, I think we're beyond that. I think right now we should just be repairing and making sure that we're following through with what we need. Of course, personnel is very important in a city that is kind of running on a skeleton crew, right? But we do what we can. And I think it's essential that we have essential and very specific positions filled with competent people, qualified people. In the past, I know that we have hired people who were not qualified for the positions, and maybe that had a lot to do with the mishaps of the city. I think we also need to look into being an honest government, where we're not hiring, hey, you're my friend, hey, you want a job at the city? No, that's not the way to do it. I mean, we do have to be responsible for the choices that we make, and unfortunately, the choices that we've allowed, and I say we because we as citizens should be taking part of our government, and we should be holding people accountable, and we should be attending the meetings at City Hall. And if we don't like something, we should be voicing those things. But we've allowed this to happen without saying anything, and this has led us to the place we're at this point in time. So one of the things that I'm also doing is urging all our citizens to become engaged. And even if they're not going to vote for me, just get out and vote. After you vote, just don't leave it at that. Yeah. Make sure that you take part of your government, show up to meetings, ask questions. You don't get them, keep on asking them, and go to the people who can help you. But yeah, I think that having key personnel is essential. Unfortunately, right now, we don't have that. Our budget is kind of low as well, so there's not a lot that we can offer. And that's something that we need to really focus on. When we're wanting to hire the best, we also make sure to offer the best. So it kind of goes hand in hand. And at this point, we have neither. Unfortunately.
That was one of my next questions was, how do you keep and maintain qualified employees when wages aren't up to par with other cities, even local cities, and how much of people not wanting to apply is wages and the fact of what they see at our city council meetings, or how our city is ran. How much is affecting the lack of employees at city council?
Well, when you're looking for a new job, one of the things that you look for is the environment you're going to be in. So definitely, if people are seeing a circus at our city council meetings, they're going to really be deterred by that. So I really think that we need to change that and make sure that the next group of people that we elect are people who are responsible, people who have a good foundation, and people who are going to be able to work together for the better of Calexico, not to benefit each other. So that's the key right there, because you might have a group of people who work very well together, but who are they working for? And I just want to make sure that the group that we elect are council members that are going to be working for Calexico and for Calexicans, whether or not that affects them in any way. And I think it is kind of like one of the pluses for me that I am not connected to any group or any association or any family or any business. So I'm kind of like independent from any of that. And I really think it's important, because at the end of the day, if you partner up with a specific group or a specific person or entity, you're going to owe them something once you're elected. And when if God permits and I am elected, I will make decisions for Calexico and based only on the needs of Calexico and their citizens, and not because I owe someone something or, So that's one of the things that I think I pride myself in.
And and a lot of people, because, it's always a thing that people bring up where like, oh, he's there because his family or his business or they're stealing money from the city, but right now there's really no money to steal. But we've seen in the past that there's other ways that people do find a way to profit from their positions, right?
Unfortunately, yes, there's always a way to act incorrectly. But But going back to the previous questions, which I didn't answer, by the way, I'm sorry. But I really think it's important that we have a good work-life balance. I did meet with some of the departments in the city, and now speaking specifically for fire and police department, they're understaffed. And one of the things that they want is to make sure that they have a good, stable job where they're going to also be able to have a good work-life balance. Some of the personnel is being asked to work overtime, and they think that just by compensating with overtime, it's going to be okay. But you know what? These are key individuals for our city, for our safety, and we cannot stress them out and then expect them to be 100%.
Yeah.
I mean, they're here to protect us and to protect our city and our well-being, yet we're not doing the same for them and their family. So I really feel that we need to hire more people for those positions. They're essential. We cannot have a stressed out police officer. We cannot have a stressed out firefighter. Yes, we know that they decided to go into those lines of work, but you know what? They could also move to a city who's offering them, a 2-hour on day and then 4 days off. Unfortunately, some of our employees have not had any vacation time in like 2 years because they don't have enough people to cover. And then they get injured or, we have to really take care of the people who are taking care of us in our city. And we also need to make sure that we're offering compensation packages that are good, insurance, that we are also having good competitive wages. I mean, right now you can go and start as in the fire department and you'll be getting the same wage as somebody who's working at McDonald's. Without that extra, stress and...
Yeah, you're putting your life at risk for...
Exactly, for the same amount. So how are we compensating them? How are we taking care of the people who take care of our city? And that's one of the things that I really want to fight for. In making, not only just hiring anyone off the street, but making sure that they're the individuals that we need in those positions, that they're qualified individuals. And I think that's where the difference is going to be. And hopefully holding people accountable for their jobs and their job titles and their positions will also be helpful to kind of weed out the people who are not working for the city or for the benefit of the city.
I think a huge part of, having a healthy, friendly city council or city hall in general is, that sense of community, making sure that the community feels like they could go up to city hall and talk to the city manager, the mayor. But I think in the recent years, Calexico's, and not only Calexico, I think the country's like divided. But I feel like it's affected Calexico too, but it's in a different way, not the way it's going on with the country itself. What have you seen right now that you've been out campaigning? What's the feeling of the community when you talk to people about, the local politics?
Well, don't want to criticize anyone, obviously. I want to be Switzerland here in this case. But I have seen a lot of people coming out. All of a sudden, you see them everywhere. All of a sudden, they're in every corner and every street, and they're all over the place in our community events when we don't see the same when it's not campaigning, campaign season. We don't see them. You can go into their Facebooks and you can see, for the last 3 months, they're everywhere and with everyone. But before then, you scroll further down and nothing to do with our community. So, that's kind of disheartening because, I'm not saying, post everything you do, because I'm not a believer in, helping people out and posting it on social media. And I know that a lot of people can back that up because I have done things for our community, and I'm not the one to be out posting, look at what I'm doing. That's not who I am. I know that during campaign season, it's something to do, obviously, because it's going to gain you popularity. But I just really feel like if you weren't involved in our community for the last 2 years and all of a sudden last 3 months, you're doing something every single day and you're talking to someone every single day, that speaks volumes of who you're trying to fool or what you're trying to do. I just feel like we should always be out there. We should always be helping people. There's a lot of groups in our community, hats off to them, specific members of our community who are always on top. And I know their names and I wish I could, bring it out, but I don't. But there's a lot of people who are always, doing things on their own time, on their own dime, helping to make Calexico look better and be better. But other than that, it's crickets when we're not campaigning. So why is that the case? It shouldn't be. It should be something you're always doing. Maybe as a council member, which if elected, this is what I'm planning to do, is making sure that I have my specific page telling people what I'm doing every day. I do have different plans to engage with the community as well. One of them is El Gobierno en tu Esquina, government in your corner, where I know that sometimes people don't have enough time to, go to city council meetings and express their feelings about certain issues. And I also know that 3 minutes that you're given there sometimes is not enough time. So why not reach out to the community where they can come and talk to you directly about the issues that they might have? Right now, during the time of campaigning, a lot of people have reached out to me and told me about problems that they have in their community. And unfortunately, I can't do anything about it yet. Yeah. And that's what I tell them, help me get there and I can go ahead and help you. But at this point, I really can't. Like I'll get emails about a certain light being off in a city, a park, and it's broken and it's been broken for 6 months. And I'm like, I really want to make a change. But at this point, I can only forward your email to someone else who could actually help you. But, that kind of thing, people are reaching out to me and I feel really good about that because I feel like I can feel they can approach me. Yeah. And so that's one of the things that I wanted to do when elected, having that campaign and at least once a month meeting with the citizens, whether that be in your neighborhood, in different parts of Calexico neighborhoods, going to people. Why? Because sometimes people can't travel. I think a lot of the senior citizens that, might not have that transportation, and you want to hear them out and see what they need as well. That's one of my projects. And then the second one would be whether it be a page, a website where we can update, okay, this is a problem that Mrs. Sanchez brought over to the council members, and this is how we have fixed it, or this is what we're doing on it, so that the community can see that they're not being ignored and see how they're being heard and how we're working towards those projects or those concerns that they have. Yeah, because a lot of times, they go up to city council and, they bring up a problem and, we'll get to it. And then there's no follow through and even like the community itself, like they see the
the person come up and they don't know if if it was solved or not. But yeah, having something where is more public, it will show the people that there is work being done in the community.
And it also holds the council members accountable for what we are saying and what we're talking about to our constituents. So it actually benefits both.
Yeah. Hey guys, sorry for the interruption, but I want to take this time to thank my sponsors. My friend Jake, Camilo Garcia, Eddie Lopez from Cultivating Ideas, this year's new sponsor, the Valley's champ, Gio Rebollar. And finally, I want to thank Will Torres and the whole VSN team, the Valley source for Imperial Valley Sports. And if you want to become a sponsor, you can go to anchor.fm/Que Pasa Calexico, hit the support button in the middle of the page, and you can sponsor the podcast from 99 cents to up to $10 a month. Your sponsorship helps the podcast sound and look better, and also reach out more people by doing paid promotions. I want to thank all my sponsors once again, and now back to the show. There's 5 positions open. A lot of people kind of have questions because some of my friends are like, "Oh, well, do I vote for all 5 are going to be the same section?" I'm like, "No, it's 2. There's 2 positions for 2 years,
Correct,
and then there's 3 for 4 years,
correct."
And you're in the 4.
I'm the 4 years, yeah.
So, how many? Do you know how many for the 4 positions?
For the 4-year term, there's a total of 8 people running for that position, and for the 2 years, there's 4 people running for that position.
So there's 12 people. There potentially could be a council of 5 new council members.
Correct. Yeah.
What are your thoughts on maybe being in a council where there's people that had already been there, or all new council? What are your thoughts on how you could how are you going to contribute to either or?
Well, I think there's a saying, you cannot do the same thing expecting a different outcome, because that would be madness. We keep electing the same people. We keep doing the same thing. We have to change it up. I feel that bringing in new blood, new people, new ideas into city council would be great. I will work with whomever I have to work with in order to make our city a great place again. I will do whatever it takes. And I'm not just saying that like to gain votes, but even if I don't, I will work in order to make sure that Calexico is a city I remember. In order for us to rebuild Calexico, I will do whatever it takes. So let's, even if you're not running for city council, you still have to be able to work with your neighbors, with your city council member, with your government to work towards this goal of making Calexico what we used to have before, of rebuilding it and making sure that we have the Calexico that we all want. Because I really doubt that Calexico right now is what we want.
Yeah.
And I mean, in all honesty, this is not the best. And I know that we can have so much better. We have a lot of different avenues to gain revenue for our city. Why are we not pursuing them? Why are we not attracting new businesses? Why are we not attracting new clientele? So I will work with whoever I have to work with for the benefit of my city. And whether that be people that have been already in city council or new people coming in, to me, it doesn't make a difference, because as long as we both have, or we all have the same objective, we have the same goal, that's all that matters.
And how do you think, or what happens, or what happened that, for a while our city council was like so divided? There's so much personal, kind of like, I mean, I don't want to say hate, because hate is it's a strong word, but there's so much personal things going on between the council that you can tell affected the city. How do we get there? Like, and how do we, what do we do to not get back to that place?
Well, I think that we are, as individuals, we have our ideologies and what we want and what we really are passionate for. And that's great. It's always good to have something that moves you. But I believe right now Calexico needs people who are going to be in there for Calexico, first and foremost. Yes, it's okay to have, want to support other entities. I'm not saying that's not the case, but first we take care of our house and then we take care of other things, right? So first and foremost, we take care of Calexico and the people of Calexico. And then if we have other revenues, if we have then other means to help other people, then we do. But we first have to rebuild Calexico. We first have to concentrate on what it is that we were elected to do. And we were not elected to run any other different campaigns, but the campaign was Calexico, and that's our main goal. We all, as individuals, have different concerns and different ideas. But once it becomes a personal or an ego thing, I think that's not going to benefit anyone. I think they're in there for the wrong reasons if that's the case. If you are going to be elected into city council, you're going to be a public servant. And that's what you're going to do. You're going to serve the public. And like I said, having these other ideologies of what you're supposed to do is great. But first things first, and the first thing is Calexico. After Calexico is 100% and thriving and we have surplus, then go out and help whoever you want, but not until then, because first and foremost, the city of Calexico and its citizens.
And I think that there's no, you can use the position as, city council, but once you use the city's time, because, an employee's time is,
valuable.
And once you use the city's time and the city's budget, it kind of I know it angers people because you're like, we don't have any money, and yet we're investing in these other things. How much of making sure that the community is buying local, doing like all these local things is important for the city's budget to be a little bit better?
I think that we need to really look at our finances, and we really need to give a push to our downtown life and when it comes to commerce. It's very important, and this is why. All our revenues, our city budget comes, or not city budget, but our city funds come from taxes and allocations, right? So the more that we support our businesses, our local businesses, and not just downtown. I have been talking a lot about downtown and revamping it, but that's just to call people in. Once we have that, everybody else is going to benefit. If we have a strong financial foundation for the city of Calexico, I believe in the trickle-down economy where you have that strong foundation. It will give you the revenue to be able to fund your police and fire, your parks, your recreation. All of these things will fall in place if we have a good and stable finance within the city. And we need to really sit down and create this. This is not something that's just going to fall on your lap. You have to actually have a program. You have to have some sort of a strategic plan in order to develop these things. You cannot just wish upon it and then it's just magically going to happen. Whoop, it's just there. No, you really need to put a lot of work into it. And it's kind of like I tell everyone else, I'm a teacher, but I don't work from 8 to 3 when I teach. That's just the time I have with my students. I need to do the planning. I need to do everything else after that time. If you don't put in that work, you just don't magically show up and boop, it's just going to flow. No.
Yeah, people say like, oh, you have summers off, but most of the summers are spent prepping for it.
And buying things and doing all these, or going to conferences and extra things so that you can become better. And it's the same thing. Unfortunately, a job where you have to now develop a financial plan to make this city prosperous is not going to happen just by sitting at City Hall for 3 hours during a meeting. You actually have to sit down, have to invest a lot of your time and effort into it for it to happen. It's not just going to happen with a wave of a hand or a wand or whatever it might be. So you really need to make sure that you are electing people who know how to develop these programs for Calexico and that they are willing to put in that extra time. Unfortunately, sometimes you go to meetings, city council meetings, and people don't know what they're presenting or they have questions about what's being presented. And then the presenter's like, well, this is what you asked for, 2 months ago. And they're like, oh, I didn't know I asked for that. So it's like, and then you've had this report sitting on your desk for like a couple of days, but you just didn't take the chance to, or the opportunity to do your due diligence and your job as an effective official to go back and do your homework and read reports and know what you're talking about. And now you're in the middle of a council meeting saying, I have no idea what this is.
And not just show up and occupy a seat or
yes, exactly. And I mean, it's funny, but it's not, because it is. I've had several instances when I'm like, what are these people doing, or what are they thinking? Why would but oh well.
I think that happens a lot where you're like watch, because I normally don't attend meetings. I do watch them on Facebook. A lot of times I'm like, what are they saying? What are they doing? And it's crazy because even my wife, like, she won't watch them, but like she'll be in and out of the living room, like doing her thing. And then she's like a couple hours later, she's like, you're still watching that? I'm like, yeah, it's still on. Believe it or not, it's still on. And then she's like, what are they talking about? Well, I think they're talking about the same thing they were talking when you came in an hour ago. Yeah, they go back and forth and they don't really do much.
Yeah. So, I mean, we need to be educating ourselves and making sure that we are in it 100%, whether you're 100% in or you're just 100% out. I mean, people are doing half or even less than that of the job that they're supposed to. And here they are up for re-election again.
You talk about, incentivizing businesses to open here in Calexico. Have you had a chance to go through the process of what it is to open get a business license here in Calexico?
I have actually worked in the city of Calexico as a retail manager for 5 years. After that, I have a total of 15 years retail management experience. So I do know what goes into it. I know what it is that businesses are looking for, and I know how much it can benefit our city if we go out and entice these businesses of coming in. Unfortunately, one of our main driver was the Chamber of Commerce. The Chamber of Commerce goes out throughout the state, throughout the U.S. to bring new companies in, new businesses in, including just our regular, small businesses from within our community. But we need to make that change where we're really becoming friendly to these new entities wanting to come into building a new shop within our town. We can definitely help streamline a lot of the processes. But at the same time, I'm very careful to make sure that it is a legal streamline and not a compa system where people are just waiving fees left and right and doing things under the table and not doing legitimate business.
And my question was, because I hear a lot of people say that, it's easier or it's faster to get a business license in El Centro. Do you know why, or like how can we facilitate that, or have you had it?
Well, and this is from my husband. He works a lot with our restaurants, and what happens is that other cities, I'm not going to specify which ones, definitely have a smaller fee. Yes, we are going through tough times right now because of inflation, but let's just pretend that Calexico had a fee of $300 for you to open a restaurant, right? All of a sudden, that $300 turned into $3,000.
What?
Where maybe in another city within the Imperial Valley, it was from $300 to maybe $600, which is not that much crazier, but you can see the amount that it has in each specific city. So the fees that we're charging sometimes are just ludicrous. And I think that we need to revisit that. We need to make sure that we're doing our due diligence and checking. Obviously, if the city of El Centro or Imperial or anyone within the Imperial Valley is charging a specific fee, then you would definitely make a study where you're going to be charging the same amount and not going crazy with these. I mean, these fees are just, who could afford them? And who would want to come and do that in a city where we already have a lot of problems that we haven't fixed? And then on top of that, we're asking you to pay all this money to come in.
Yeah.
So me as a business owner, I'm going to see, okay, so how's your police department?
Am
I going to be safe in your city? Okay. And then take that into consideration. And what are your fees? So why would I come to Calexico if these things are not being offered to me? And
you want me to pay more?
And I'm investing in Calexico, you know. How are we treating our customers? How are we treating the pedestrians that are coming across the border to come and shop? Do they have a good shopping environment around the area that I'm in? Am I safe around the area that I'm going to open this store? So there's a lot of things that you have to consider when opening up a business. And then you get the shock of your lifetime that if you went to, let's say, El Centro versus Calexico, how much you would be saving in fees.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's obviously, you know, like I said, roads, safety, and then you still have to pay more for something that's not even
available.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, so it's sad. It's a sad situation, but I do believe that coming together as a community, as a group, as a city council, we could definitely turn that around. It's going to be a lot of work. It's not going to be easy, and it's not going to just happen. Yeah. Like I said, it has to be a plan, and it has to be very strategic on the things that we're going to do.
Yeah. We're at 50 minutes. That's kind of like my sweet spot.
It just kind of felt like it just flew by.
So something I kind of like asking the candidates is, you know, what would be your elevator pitch? Say, you know, we meet an elevator. I'm going a couple floors up. What would you tell me to convince me to vote for you? And but my friend Alex, I asked him the same question, and I thought it was in the Willy Wonka elevator because he took forever. So try not to be in the Willy Wonka elevator.
Okay.
2 minute, minute to minute pitch of why should I vote for you?
Well, the reason you should vote for me, it's because I'm here for Calexico. I'm not here for myself. I'm not here for any other entities, but just to benefit the city and the citizens of Calexico. I am dedicated to making sure that we're bringing back all the essentials for our city, making sure we're covering our fire and police, our parks and recs, and also making sure that we have a strong business foundation so that everything can fall into place. I will give, like I said, myself to the city. I am not a politician. I'm just an individual trying to make a change, a positive change for my city, where I live, where my kids live, and where hopefully I will, retire and live for the rest of my life, because I don't want to go anywhere else. This is my city, and I love it just as much as I love, my upbringing here, and I want to bring that back.
Okay, thank you. Adriana, anything else that I didn't ask you that you would like to say or point out to the community?
Just to make sure you go out, you register to vote, because it is very important for us as citizens to participate in our government, to make sure that we hold our city government officials accountable for what we elected them to do. And even if it's not for me, go out, participate. After you do vote, make sure that you participate in city council meetings, that you go in and you're part of your government, because it's important that citizens take that and are accountable for maintaining a true and honest government.
All right. Well, thank you. Thank you for your time. Also want to thank once again Taco Mex for letting me record here today. I really appreciate it. And we'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.